Welcome back to Sport On a night in which we are focusing on athletics, and it's for good reason, because you had Emmanuel Wanyonyi is a winner, Edmund Serem is a winner, Sebastian Sawe is a winner. This coming weekend, the great Chepsaita cross-country race will be live on NTV and out in Chepsaita, so a lot of athletics to talk about. And continuing with that theme, we are having a look back. Why? We've been speaking about biggest. And I think if we talk about the oldest, nothing is more older in this country in terms of a singular event than maybe the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Like I say, I'm a dinosaur. I was there, the very, very first one, back in 2003. And a few months ago, we had it on the streets of Nairobi again, painted blue and white, as Kenyans come out and compete. And you know what, Elijah, with the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon, again, it's not just the race, it's not the elite, it's not us going out there with our kids and having fun. There's a lot more to it.
Yes, of course, there's more, and in terms of inclusivity, you have to say it's the best. It's the best because from as the first race that gets the marathon running, it's the wheelchair race. And that's where we get to see our brothers and sisters who are disabled get to show their skill. And I don't think there's any other race that is showcased on a national level that showcases our brothers and sisters who are able differently. So I was absolutely excited with this year's edition. The biggest ever, by the way, and the most exciting ever. And I think they also won, they won an award for
I like this biggest ever, largest ever, biggest ever. It's a good theme. Maybe that should be the theme of Sport On tonight.
Yeah,
biggest ever, best ever, yeah. Where athletics is concerned. We are joined in studio by Regina Mukiri, who is the head of Community Impact Standard Chartered, and a lady who I know very well from sports and other areas. Iramba Hawal, okay, expert in inclusive employment, Light for the World. Now, guys, the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is not just about the elite. It's not just about the top guys. You make it holistic. You make it include everyone. Regina.
Yes, we do. And maybe just to say the question, then somebody would ask, why? Why do we do this? And I would start by saying for the bank, we are very intentional about inclusivity. It's really embodied even in our purpose, where we say we are driving commerce and prosperity using our unique diversity, coming from a bank that is very international, very multicultural. But really what we focus on is how do we enhance everybody's ability and bring it on board, be it at the workplace, be it at the bank for our clients. So we aim to be the best place to work at, great bank to bank. But mostly, we look at communities from an inclusive perspective. How do we make our communities prosper? And one of the things we have identified at a larger picture before I come to the marathon is through our community impact. We are looking at young people and looking at the underserved, especially persons with disabilities, and how we can help them be economically empowered so that they can thrive. And that brings me to the marathon. So if we are helping young people out there through employability to gain their entrepreneurship skill, then why not in the marathon? And more so because the marathon fundraises for those young people. So all the money we collect during registration goes into supporting our Future Makers program through our foundation, and then it goes to giving back to the community through the young people. So we are intentional about getting people to support the marathon so that they can support the community, hence inviting them also to come and play a part in the marathon.
And when you're speaking like that, I'm thinking, I spoke about the first edition, 2003. Yes. And for very many years, this used to be the phrase, seeing is believing. So this is not a yesterday thing. It's something the bank has always believed in.
True. And if you remember, the days of seeing is believing, we were pushing for avoidable blindness. And we brought in, even our ambassador up to today is Henry Wanyoike, who is visually impaired. And from then, hence why I say it is intentional, we've grown that race. We have really worked hard, not just to grow the race of the wheelchair, to invite as many to come and participate. We have grown it in terms of partnership. We've grown in terms of bringing in people like Light for the World, who are professionals, to help us make the race more inclusive. And then an invitation to the public to come and fundraise for persons with different abilities. Right now, it's not just about wheelchair. There are so many other undisclosed, before which were undisclosed. Now we are encouraging people to disclose. We are working on a more reasonable accommodation for them. We've grown in numbers. You look at, I was just looking at the numbers in 2023 just was about 113 participants last year. Greatest ever, like you said. 293 participants were the people who are who had self-identified as persons with disabilities. So growth coming, but also quality coming and more professionalism and structures around it.
When you talk about that growth and you talk about that professionalism, so how do you ensure that they feel like they're just not treated as by the way, but they are also treated like everyone else and given the respect and, of course, the service that is required?
And I will come back to that, to Iram here, because we've worked very hard around that, because it starts with, like I said, being intentional and stepping back and saying, how do we make this race more inclusive? If we are talking about bringing people in, not making them feel you are there, we are here, it's part and parcel of our race. For example, the prize money we give for the 21 kilometer, both for women and men on wheelchair, is the same as anybody running and participating in the 21. When you register, we don't have a special lane for people with different abilities. It's the same. So in terms of trying to bring the comradeship, even the setup, and making sure that, for example, do you understand what is going on? You are able to have sign language interpreters at the ceremony. At registration, it's an accessible registration. And we've worked that deliberately. We have a strategy that's running for the next 3 years that is helping us now raise the standards for us from a professional angle, which is where our partners like Light for the World come in.
Iram, when you listen to Regina speak, apologies for the call. When you listen to her speak, when you look at what's going on, and given how passionate you are about inclusivity, are you happy? You must feel you are making progress.
Yes, I must commend Standard Chartered. I think we've started that journey with Standard Chartered. We did a full assessment of the marathon last year. Starting from ideation, what is the theme of the run? You know, how is the route looking like? What are the kids looking like? You know, how are we targeting persons with disabilities to come on board? And it really, the growth, the organic growth that has come with it is immense. The journey has been so seamless. The ownership, you know, persons with disabilities are now aligning and saying, you know, we are accommodated in this process. So yes, for me, it's so fulfilling to be part of this journey, seeing persons with disabilities saying, okay, I can compete in this race, albeit me having autism. I can compete in this race, albeit me being a person with hearing impairment. So it's not only reserved for those on a wheelchair, but all of us in the different spectrums of impairments.
I'm curious, what's the source of this passion? What's the source of this fire? What is it that makes you, because last year we spoke and you were speaking about something that most of us would not even think about, but you told me and I thought, never thought about it. We had this conversation last year, before last year's Standard Chartered. So where does this passion, what is it that lights this fire in your belly about inclusivity and making sure that everyone is treated equally?
Wow. I think it's just knowing that it's a club that any of us can join. It's also a sense of fulfillment knowing that impacting somebody's life is impacting a whole community. I think for me, starting this journey, and an interesting fact is I started this journey while at the bank. While at the bank.
Okay.
So yeah, it's something that has grown in me, and I kind of feel that every life you impact is a change to others as well. Yeah, I can't explain where it comes from. I really cannot.
So now that we have this wonderful synergy, so what steps have we made or did we make this year when it came to the marathon?
Oh, wow. So in terms, because we have started the commitment, well, the wheelchair race has been there for long, but then in terms of bringing on board other impairments, we were very deliberate in supporting Standard Chartered from last year. And this year, we've gone a step higher. So we have things around the quiet rooms, you know, along the race. We have the mother's room, right? Personally, I experienced when I had a little one during the race, I had to sit down and breastfeed on the pavement. but then from my personal experience, putting it back, you have the mother's room. We have had declarations, self-declarations in this marathon. So when you're registering for the marathon, you can actually say, I'm a person with disability. I have visual impairment. And with that also, the cost is only, the registration fee is only for that person with a disability and not with a caregiver, right? Again, additionally, things around the signage, you know, a lot has been done, provisional sign language interpreters, ensuring that the route is accessible, the ramps are within the right ratios. So a lot has been done this year, and we're hoping that next year it even gets bigger. So we've moved from 163 to 290 this year, and hopefully by 400 next year.
Any feedback?
Ladies,
With regard to
are we changing the perception?
Let me just also include one of the other most profound things that the partnership has helped us do is train like the vendors and the sponsors. And in terms of training, what do I mean? On disability etiquette, on handling people with different abilities, and that training now multiplies the impact we have, because now you come, like you're asking about impact or changing of mindsets.
Yeah, like are we seeing the perception?
Yes.
Is the perception of the public changing?
Let me tell you the most beautiful moment for me is when you are running and you see a runner stop to give the wheelchair a push. And I think for me, and I started noticing that. And you know how runners, we can be focused on you are 21 kilometers, you want to hit your time. But for the marathon, there's that feeling of like, we are in this together. And I saw so many people give a hand. And you can imagine for our wheelchair participants, it is a grueling race. Pushing that wheelchair, it is about determination, it's about their endurance, and having that appreciation that this person is giving it their best and gets in 5 a.m., they're the first on the line. And they're flagged off, and you see some of them finishing much, much later, but they finish. So even just that inspiration of we are in this together, it is one race, it's for all of us, I think that is really, really something that has improved and grown over the time. And we also have been supporting them actually in terms of training because of that realization that it's not easy like for you and I, the way you would think, oh, let me give this a shot. Just being able to push that chair for that long, we just identified that they need a bit of more support. And even our own staff in the bank, they do a great job in terms of volunteering. So we have a volunteering cell, that group of people, some of them with disability, some of them not, really supporting, making sure some of them come in the night, they spend the night where they are sleeping so that they can be able to hit the 5 a.m. So it's a whole community, and a community that has learned that we want to do this. Like the way you're asking about the passion, they have the passion, they volunteer their time, they're there with them very early, they take care of them when they finish. And also, there are so other partners like APDK who volunteer in terms of making sure that the wheelchairs are well done, they are aligned, and they are of standard. People like Christian Bride Mission, CBM, also pitching in. So the ecosystem is growing, and that's what we are hoping to keep on doing.
Sounds like the impact is massive, and it's reaching the people. But I would love to find out, are there more boxes we can tick?
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. There's always much more we can do. I think in terms of celebrating those who have actually done it, right, and amplifying the stories of what the impact has had on their lives, because again, it gives them a sense of purpose, right? Just running the marathon gives them that opportunity of, I have done it, right? And so can you. Right? So yes, we can do a lot in terms of amplifying their stories, but then also how can we get other organizations to do similar things? I think for me that's what the marathon is actually addressing. You know, profiling, putting persons with disabilities out there, seeing that they can actually do it, and not only in sports but in other spaces within the society. Again, when you're looking at training the ecosystem, we train the vendors, we train the suppliers, we train the security, the police officers who are going to be involved, right? there's a lot more they take back, right? So how much are we getting out of it? There's a lot. There's really a lot. Investing in persons with disabilities in sports at the grassroots level is something we also need to do. Getting them, investing in the training infrastructure, investing in the assistive devices. You have the wheelchairs, you have, the track kits. Do the numbers have Braille, for example? We have wheelchair users who have the camel bags. Do we have people who are locally producing such things? Because again, someone with a wheelchair needs to stop and drink water. That delays them in the process. So give them a camel bag, let them do it. Standard Chartered Marathon is doing it. Why aren't others thinking around that?
From a policy point of view and support, what are your thoughts about it? And then, like Elijah said, what can we do better? What are the biggest barriers you've seen now? I mean, the improvement is a lot, but what do you think is still holding people back? What are those things you still feel, this is the next thing we must address?
Well, government has to invest in this. Government has to invest in inclusive sports. No question about it. We don't say it. Yes, we do say it when they go out there, but internally, are they investing in it? And as I said, do we have the training infrastructure? Do we have the trainers? Are the trainers trained to do this work? Or is it coming out of volunteering, right? Do we have the assistive devices and technology? When you go out there, you look at the London Marathon, you look at the Boston Marathon, inclusion is at another level. They have the tools and the kits to be able to do that. So I think for me, it's having the government invest in it, the private sector, putting in as well in partnership, because again, the government might not be able to do everything, but putting in the partnerships with the private sector and saying, okay, we can be able to sponsor a soccer team that has persons with disabilities. We can be able to sponsor this school that does very well in athletics, and owning that process. It'll also help in fueling the policies out there. What are we doing around inclusive sports? Do we have policies that are aligning with that? What is the media out there talking about, right? Are we only, now recently is when I'm saying we have Deaf Olympics, we had the visually impaired weightlifting champions, and but there's a lot more that can be done. There's a lot. Are we sponsoring them? Are we amplifying what they're actually doing out there? So yeah, I think as a community, as a society, we need to put out their stories and see how we can influence this.
Regina, your final words?
I think for me, I'm very inspired by the kind of work that is going on around inclusion. And as we come actually very close to the International Day for Persons with Disabilities that will be celebrated on Wednesday, I think the call is just to know that this is a task that cannot be done by one person. Just the same way that Iram is saying, there are so many players that can come together. And all of us have a role to play. It's not just the government, it's not just the private sector, it's where you are. How do you support the next person? How do you volunteer your time? How do you volunteer your skill to help build the capacity of that person? Reach out, get to know more about what can I do to make their life more easier, to make them feel more included, and open that space that you can learn, you can teach, and really you can support somebody else.
Regina Mukiri, Head of Community Impact, Standard Chartered Bank, thank you so much. When you were speaking, I was just remembering, we've been speaking about great, and again, I'm an old man, so I go back to the greatest run on earth series. That's what it used to be called.
Exactly.
So there is always something about greatness and Standard Chartered and biggest and the best. And of course, for you, Iram Bahawa, like I said, your passion is on a completely different level.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Before we forget, one of the most profound story about this year's marathon was about Mary Jared, the 21 kilometers wheelchair winner. She plays 5 sports.
Wow.
And we just interviewed her and we just remembered, oh wow, 5 sports, and she won, and she's very young. And we had one request. Maybe can she get a better wheelchair? Because she's young, she's talented. Can she get a wheelchair that can enable her to go professional to the next level? Because for her, I see a future star there.
That's putting us on the spot, but yes, what we can do is commit in looking at which partner can we engage.
Exactly.
Right?
Put all out there.
Yes, definitely. I think there are partners out there that who would be more than willing to put in that, to, you know, invest in that and also invest in our own development.
And can I tell you something? That's exactly the kind of fire that you have, that you walk around with. So when Elijah is making this, Elijah is like, you know what? The best person to speak to about this is right across me. So, ladies, thank you very much for coming in. Before we finish, we normally do something where you look at some of the highlights from the internet on the timeline. We let you stay. We'll ask you a question. Do you guys watch sports? You like sports? You should watch a little bit, I know that. Do you watch it a little bit? They're just funny things, though. So we'll just pick your brain and hear what you think some of them. So, of course, yes. Before we get on the timeline, let's just look at the shot of the weekend. Once again, our very own photographer, Mr. Chris Omolo Japichney, was out in the